ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ talking about self-growth, which can be said in one word, yoga. We have in the Gita a number of verses and their essence is what we are going to look into. As a human being, I have a special status. That which makes me a very special living organism on this planet is this freedom that one has to do, not to do. An animal can do. It is free to do. The dog feels like barking, the dog will bark. It's not going to cut down the volume because the master is in meditation. Nor it is going to think it is inappropriate to bark at this time. If the dog feels like barking, he will bark. When you feel like shouting at somebody, you can shout. You need not shout. You can say the same thing differently. Kartum, akartum, anyatava kartum. To do, not to do, and do it differently. This is the special privilege that a human being enjoys. And therefore, naturally, I can say, as a human being, I am free, and this freedom is manifest in the form of choice. I choose to do, I choose not to do, even though I feel like doing. Doing is also saying, saying is also doing. And I can do it differently. No, it's okay, yeah. It's okay. The light is fine. Not only in doing I have this choice, I have a freedom to also desire. Many a time, desires happen to us. But we enjoy the freedom to desire for an object. A new object that you see, you can definitely make a judgment whether this object is useful to me. If it is useful, that I can desire for the object. And I can find the means to possess the object. So that's freedom. A desire to eat out, the cow doesn't have the freedom. It can eat out. But it won't look into the yellow pages. Where we will go and eat. The cow is not going to ask the bullock, honey, shall we eat out today? It is programmed. Not that it doesn't desire. The cow does. Cow desires. But the desiring is programmed. And these animals are available for further programming also. That's what we do. In this country, the word obedience is unknown. Not totally unknown. Nobody writes here yours obediently. We are all used to that. We write an application for a job, you say yours obediently. Whether you mean it or not, yours obediently. That was taught by the Englishman. He wanted all of you to be obedient. In America, there is no such thing, yours obediently. They will think there is something wrong with you. But the word obedience is understood by them because they send the dogs to obedience school. So I can't say they don't know obedience, but it is meant for the dogs, understand? That means the dogs can be programmed further. They are already programmed by nature, by the dog's mom and dad, mostly mom, and by other dogs, plus you also. You can also program. But all within a range. That's a given range. So this capacity to desire and the capacity to choose the means to fulfill the desire is to a great extent free. In fact, there is freedom. the desiring is inhibited, limited. Even though there is freedom to desire for anything, but it is inhibited by the limitation in my knowledge. I cannot desire for an object that I don't know. Even though every object I know I don't desire for, but every object that I desire, I know. At least I think I know. That is the problem, really. Not only we desire for objects here in this life, we also desire for a heaven which is non-verifiable. A non-verifiable object such as a life of heaven, a life in heaven, we desire for. We are taught to desire for. Or at least we are preached to desire for. There is no teaching anyway. So, but for this limitation in knowledge, my desires, my capacity to desire is unfettered. And also I have a desire to know. And also the capacity to know, a power to know, explore areas that are totally unknown. There I can break grounds, make inroads. So in a particular area of knowledge, thus I have this freedom to explore and know. And also we are given a capacity to remember. I can deliberately just program my memory, and by following some simple rules of association, I can remember a lot of things. So we are given that capacity. And I can also retrieve that memory. Recollection is possible for me. All this make me a very special person on this planet. Inasmuch as I find in other living organisms, these capacities are all not unfettered. They are programmed. So this makes me a special person. This speciality, this special characteristic, is it born of a peculiar body I have? No peculiar body makes an organism special, because every organism has its own special anatomy. Look at an octopus, look at a crab, look at a giraffe, look at any animal. It has got its own special features. And the human being, this Homo sapien, the Homo erectus, is another peculiar body. Hands, front legs hang down. It's a peculiar body. But that doesn't mean it must be endowed with all this freedom. When we look into the source of this freedom, it is something that is with me, number one. It is inborn. It is unlike a pup. And the pup, that is why first you call the pup with a name. It doesn't know this is my name. Then you call the pup, Jimmy, come. I don't know why pups are given always this kind of names. And so even in India I'm talking. They give this kind of names only. So Jimmy come. Jimmy doesn't know that pup doesn't know my name is Jimmy. But you hold a biscuit. You hold a cookie. You know, what is biscuit? There is a cookie. What is biscuit? Here is a bun. There or whatever. And therefore, so don't think I don't know, okay? That's why I'm telling you. So this, a few things I know, okay? So this is you hold a cookie and then beckon the pup. It responds to the cookie, not for Jimmy. And every time you hold the cookie and use the word Jimmy, the dog is programmed to think of the cookie. Therefore, it wags its tail. That's how it is programmed. That is nature's programming. Whenever it is happy, it wags its tail. So it doesn't have any other way of expressing its affection. It wags its tail. And every time you call Jimmy later, it thinks of that cookie alone and wags its tail and comes to you. You can't do the same thing with your small child. And if you say, hey Kumi, Kumar is his name. And Kumi, we have got this peculiar what we call culture. We give a good name. And it is always Lord's name, Bhagavan's name. Ganesha is his name. Ganson, we call him. Or Ganu, we call him. Lalita is her name. Lallu, we call her. Kumar is his name. Kumi, we call him. Amazing. And it has no meaning. Kumi has got some other meaning. This is Kumi is in Tamil. Kumi means that this some kind of a dandiya without the sticks. That's called Kumi. Well, anyway, this Kumi will come. You give him a chocolate, and then Kumi comes. On his force, he will come. And then Kumi takes the chocolate. Next day, you call him Kumi. Then he looks up. And then he knows that you are calling him. That sound. And there is a response. Kumi comes. Expecting a chocolate, perhaps. You give him a chocolate. Third time you call him. And you hold your hand like this. And with the child, with its small fingers, tries to open your hand to find out whether there is a chocolate. It is there. And he takes the chocolate and goes away. Again you call next day. The fellow will come, open your hand, you hold the hand this way, expecting chocolate there, and the child will try to open. And there is no chocolate. Looks at you, goes away. Another time, it is the same thing. Third time, if you call Kumi, the child will sit there because it is not Jimmy, understand? It will sit there and laugh at you. It will not come. That's human. That's the human being. That makes the child so different. It very quickly learns, this man doesn't have any work, and therefore he is playing with me. I'm not going to go and get disappointed like that. The child learns even from that stage. So this is an amazing freedom. Your freedom to come, your freedom not to come. It comes from where? It comes from itself. It need not be taught. Nobody teaches freedom. It is an endowment. It comes from itself. not because of a peculiar anatomy, but there is something about this human child, and that is really, that is this capacity to be conscious of oneself. A cow also perceives, you also perceive. Sometimes animals perceive better. That is why there is a dog squad for a police department. The police follows the dog, and therefore some of them definitely perceive better. And thus you find they have sense perception, and they are conscious and they have sense perception. And they are conscious, they can make inferences. They are capable of knowing. Only programmed. You are conscious, you are capable of perception, you are capable of knowing, inference, presumption, and so on. And one more thing you have got, which it doesn't have. That accounts for the freedom. That one more thing is this, that you are a self-conscious person. No dog is shy. If it is shy, it will have its own clothing, understand. It is not shy. It is just, it lives exactly as it was born. You may clothe it because of your own concerns and anxieties. And the dog itself doesn't need all that. It is not shy of anything. It just lives its natural life. You are self-conscious. In fact, the self-consciousness, the expression, is used only in the sense of shyness, really. He is very self-conscious. And ask the person to come and give a few words here, talk, and he becomes, there is certain self-consciousness until you become shameless, you know. So there is self-consciousness. So that's not what I am talking about. That comes from self-consciousness. You are conscious of the self. A self that you are conscious of is judged by you, is understood in a certain manner. This is what I am. In this there can be a doubt. Because there is a doubt, you always try to verify. Do you really think that I am beautiful? Yes. Really? Yes. Because you have got your own doubt. Every area you have got a doubt. Do you think that I am really skillful? Yes, you are skillful. Oh, really? You are skillful and then, but doesn't think. The person knows I am skillful, but doesn't think that I am that good. And somebody has to approve. You are skillful. You are wonderful. This mantra must be there daily. Even if you are married 25 years, still the other person has to tell you that you are wonderful. Why I am wonderful? Then the person has to bluff you. You are wonderful because of this. Because there is a self-doubt. There is always a self-opinion. In that self-opinion itself, that there is a self-condemnation, self-criticism, and therefore there is the self already is looked upon as a damned one. By the self, you yourself damn yourself. And then you go to a religious discourse, and this fellow says, yes, you are really damned. And he comes and tells you that, in fact, even before you were born, you were damned. Because your parents are damned, grandparents are damned, because anyone who has got parents is damned. And he has to be salvaged. This is the theology we hear. Unless there is self-damnation, there is no necessity for salvation. First the person comes and tells me that you are damned, not because of any mistake on my part, because I am born because of parents. It's not that I decided that parents should be there to be born. I did not decide at all. And because my birth is immaculate, it is not immaculate. I don't know whether you can use the expression immaculate, but anyway, it is not immaculate. Therefore, I am damned. What an idiotic thing it is. And this is being talked around. And therefore, that I am already damned, I think myself. Always I have got my own problems about myself. I have 100 different notions about me. Growing up in a society where the competition is so high that I don't even have the childhood really. I am pushed all the time. What a life it is. A 2-year-old and 3-year-old is sent to preschool. Already I was told the school is called elementary school. Now there is a pre-elementary. For everything there is a pre. There is a pre-elementary school. I am sure before my arrival, my mother has to undergo, one's mother has to undergo, what? A prenatal schooling. Reaching the child inside is somehow. So this is how 2-year-old, 3-year-old, that is what is called, that is what the childhood is. After 4, 5, then it is not anymore that type of child. The child that wants to be with the mother, without whom it is alienated. It is very, very precious. The human life is not ordinary. It is very complex, you must understand. Biologically, that you are complex is very well known. But that's not enough. This human complexity comes from self-consciousness. Being aware of myself as a person. That is where all the problems, all the complexes, all the sadness, all the sorrow, all these exist only in the self, nowhere else. Mind has become a whipping boy for everybody. Especially for the Swamis. If you control the mind, you will be okay. Control the mind. Who told you? And they say control the mind. How control the mind means what? Who is to control? The one who controls that fellow is the mind itself. And he goes along with that. Whenever the mind is angry, then mind is angry. Then you control. If there is a mind which is angry, I can say, come on, mind, come on, don't be angry. But I am angry. It's not the mind is angry. The sadness is not something not centered on me. I am sad. Therefore, the mind has become a whipping boy. And senses also. You must have sense control. And, and of course in the Gita these are all talked about. But that is where you require to understand properly. Because there are many expressions in our language which have to be understood in the sense, in a way that they make sense. And therefore this person, this self-conscious person, is subject to sadness, is subject to anger, is subject to inadequacy, is subject to self-criticism, self-condemnation. Therefore there is all the time an attempt to become somebody. This is this complex human being. And the whole this complexity, begins in an innocent way. The human child was safe, was complete when it was with the mother. And it was one connected to the Janaka. the Janayatri, the one who is the mother from whom the child is born. That with the mother, it is connected, it is safe, floating inside happily. Very cozy. People say that it is a bad place. It is not. That is the only time you are happy. All other time, I don't know. Once you are born, that connection is gone. That is why she is goddess. Because if there is a goddess for me, God for me, and I am connected to that God, and that connection is there, I do not know. The child doesn't need to know. That innocent child, totally ignorant, he is connected to the mother. It is safe, it is complete, it is relaxed. Born to live an independent life in Manhattan, New York City. Independent life. The umbilical cord is snapped. It starts on its own, to live a life on its own. Like an Indian coming here somehow, by some sponsorship, comes along with a musical party. In fact, this is how it is. A musical party comes along with that, this fellow also comes as a tambura man. And he doesn't know even how to do tambura. But still, he comes like a tambura man. Then stays here, doesn't go back. This is another business going on. And he comes here. And this guy doesn't have he has no job. There is no way of getting a job also. He has no papers. He doesn't have anybody here to help him out. And what a life. And he wants to get married and start his own life. But I tell you, there is always a bloke somewhere there. There is always a foolish father. And who is going to give to this fellow, his daughter? And he says, I am sending her to America. Not knowing what is there in America. This fellow's hope is that she can get a job. That is the whole his hope. Because she is educated. So this fellow doesn't have anything. She is highly educated and therefore she may get a job, therefore he can get along. So this fellow starts an independent life, married independent life, if that woman also doesn't know what it is all about. Starts an independent life means how? At least they are adults, they can beg. This innocent baby cannot even beg and it starts an independent life. What a life it is to start. It's a very bad start. It is a bad start, but I don't think there is any other way it can be started. The human child should be born as an adult. Then there would be no problem, teenage problem, childhood problem, unconscious, core issues. All these won't be there. You are born with moustache. Ready for a pose if you are a woman. If you are born like that, there will be no problem. But the problem starts even before you are born. You will be talking from inside to your mom. Therefore, for want of a better scheme, a better way of bringing about this kind of a living organism into this world, this is how it is. I think this is how it has got to be. And a child is born innocent, totally helpless, incapable of taking care of itself. And it is uninformed of anything. Human child. And therefore, it has to remain connected. That is why it's so important that we abolish these KG schools. The pre-KG, upper KG, they have brought the emotional disaster in the society. Unless you are ready to go, the mother is ready to go along with the child to the school, it is not right to send the child. Then there are other practical issues. Swamiji, I am a working mother, what shall I do? Why did you become a working mother? Why don't you be a working woman and then don't be a mother? No, Swamiji, that's not possible. One income is not possible. Okay. Have a grandmother there at least. Let grandmother go along with the child to the school. In fact, this up to 5 years, if you keep the child at home, you can live in Timbuktu and still help the child grow emotionally stable. I am very well convinced about it. It is then the child compares its color with the others, especially when not only sending the child, even in India it is a problem. A white child is sent in an Indian school in India. That white child is going to think that what is wrong with me? That's what the child will think. Something is wrong with me. It won't feel at home. It feels alienated. Same problem here too. And that's one problem. Being sent away by the mother is a huge problem for. The child doesn't think that I am sent to this school in order to be very sharp in competition. That's all what the problem is. We want our children to compete in the society as well as others. We are always afraid that my child may not have the wits that the other children have. And therefore I should send, there is a fear psychosis, a psychosis. It's a phobia. I'm sure there are a lot of people here who never went to kindergarten school. At least I didn't go. One is there, number one. There may be a few others. And they did not do badly. And at least they don't have all these huge emotional problems. We didn't know what is therapy. The word therapy itself is a new word for all of us. Now there is a lot of therapy, water therapy. It's called Morarji Bhai's therapy. It's a water therapy. So many therapies are there. Varieties of therapy. Magnetic therapy. Aura therapy. They see your aura. And then they organize the aura. And they do like this. The aura therapy, really. The aura therapy. Pranic therapy. All kinds of therapy. In fact, what is necessary is a basic therapy, I tell you. Psychotherapy is the only thing which is called a therapy, I think. All therapies. Why? KG school. Pre-KG, upper KG. Lower KG, upper KG, the child does not weigh a kg. Useless. Where we are going, I don't understand this. Pushing the child. Before high school is over, calculus is over. All pushing, so much pushing, so much material. Unnecessary, loading. In India especially, to get admission you should require 98%. 98%. We were all 55, 60. 98%. Just you sit upon the child, make the child read, as though it is something that one can oblige. You may read, nothing goes inside. Because they are all children of 65, 55. You can't blame the child. Therefore, what I say, this is our lot, the human lot it is. The human child needs connection, stands connected to the mother. And then the father too, both of them. It should remain connected. He needs awareness that connection should not be snapped. This is what the human child needs. It needs approval, it needs appreciation, it needs care, and the care is consistent. Morning you say one thing, morning you behave nicely, affectionately, fondling the child, and afternoon you shout. Shut up! The child doesn't know. Confusion. Do you know what? God is inconsistent. For the child, you are the totally trusted person. Because it is totally helpless. Understand this well. You will understand yoga and the beauty of it, the necessity of it. And there is no choice also in knowing it. You will understand all that if this is understood. It is totally innocent, totally helpless, ignorant of the world. It doesn't have the wherewithal to start its life independently. So this ignorant, totally ignorant child has to survive, and therefore it has no freedom here to choose anything. Because when you are totally helpless, you are going to accept anything that is available. How will you accept totally? The child delivers itself totally to the hands that care. The mother becomes the person, the altar of total, absolute trust. What a compensation. The total helplessness is compensated by total trust. And the mother must be total trustworthy. And to be worthy of the trust naturally, what is important is the availability, the presence, number one. Because the child is always frightened. Unconnected, it cries. If it wakes up in the night, mother is not around, it cries. Because it is in the wilderness. Unconnected to the Lord. Do you know what? If there is total trust, and what is trusted totally has got to be infallible. Correct? The child cannot think my mom is fallible and trust totally. Impossible. Wherever there is total trust, there is this, what is called, there is infallibility. there is an awareness of infallibility. The child may not know what is infallible, etc. But that's what does it mean, I am saying. That total trust means the mother is viewed as almighty, capable of taking care of me. That's all what infallibility is. If this is the situation for the child, total helplessness and total trust, taking the altar of trust as infallible, without words, then as the child grows, slowly discovers mom is fallible. There is some insect, a cockroach. The child runs to the mother saying, whatever, in the language that it knows, and there is something, because it doesn't know how to handle that one. Strange looking something. And once goes to the mother, then the child is bold. You understand now? The strength comes, the courage, the strength, that nonchalant disposition is derived from its own awareness of the mother's infallibility. With the mother around me, I can face anything. Now with the mother, it can also look at the cockroach near. It will go to the cockroach, near the cockroach, to find out what it is, dragging the mother. And the mother saw, she screams. Child is confused. The infallible is falling. And then calls dad. Now dad is infallible. He's a mustache man. And he comes there. Then when he saw this, he calls the firefighter, whoever, some insect that he himself cannot handle. From this you can understand how the child is going to, because the growing child, getting confused all the time, its own altars are falling apart. Its own source of courage, strength is just falling apart. And growing in a society like this, the mother is constrained to tell the child what a society it is. It is all because of KG school only. All the social problems come from here only. The KG school is the worst thing to happen for humanity. The elementary school itself is a problem. But at least after 5, I think you are okay. This KG is the worst because your unconscious is formed up to 4 years, maximum 5, not more. The core person is already a marzipan. You know, marzipan? Marzipan, there's a particular candy, marzipan. Inside gluey thing. Outside is all, it's hard, and inside is all gluey stuff. It's a marzipan, Swiss candy, chocolate. Inside. This is the same thing. The core person is all nothing. The core has to be solid. You can go to Timbuktu, you can go to any place, still you can survive. If the core is missing, no matter how academically great you are, it doesn't make much difference in life. In life, it doesn't make any difference. And the society is such, the mother has to say, is constrained to say, don't talk to strangers. When a stranger gives you a chocolate, don't take it. If stranger comes to talk to you, scream and run. Thus the child is told, don't trust anybody. And that is the worst thing that the parents can do to a child. Even though I won't advise anything else, because who am I to advise anything? But that is the worst thing that you can do to a child, because you are telling the child that you don't trust the world. The whole life is trust. In India, there may be 100 problems. There is one thing I admire, that Indian culture. A culture that makes you marry a person not knowing who that person is. Most of you are like that here. Not knowing the person, who the person is. Dating is not done, only horoscopes date in astrologer's house. Suddenly you find yourself a wife and husband. Two people totally unknown. What a trust, my God. It is total trust. And that is something you must admire. It takes not trust in human beings. It is a trust in an order in which human beings also exist. It transcends the human heart and human limitations and human frailties. It transcends. Then only that trust is possible. If you take into account the frailty of a human being, you cannot trust anyone. And that's, from where does it come, that trust? That is yoga I am going to talk about. It is coming from there. We may not know the word yoga, but we have imbibed the spirit of yoga. Given looking at the parents and grandparents, we have somehow, by a process of osmosis, we have absorbed that spirit. Growing up there, without being taught, without knowing a word of Gita. And in fact, it is all coming down. And that is why it can get frittered away, because in 2 generations, 3 generations ago, people knew, they handed over. And you have to know in order to enjoy. Otherwise, the entropy will take care of it. You will dissipate and run away and disappear. Well, therefore, the child loses the capacity to trust also. In trust we drive. You see the green light. The trust is the other fellow had seen the red light. First trust is there is red light. In America you can trust. And there is red light. And suppose there is a green light. Some mistake. It's a confusion. But here you can trust. It is all very well calibrated. You can say calibrated. Red light for you. Red light for the other, green light for you. It is trust. When you see the green light, you just go drrrr. Especially here in New York and all that, you have to go drrrr. Otherwise you get hit from behind. Because all other fellows are all drrrr fellows. Hasn't it? So you go, hoping the other fellow had seen the red light. How do you know that he had seen the red light? Pure trust. That's why we are always in panic, because our trust itself is already violated. It's very difficult to trust, therefore you begin driving for the other fellow also. Because where is the guarantee the other fellow has seen the red light? Suppose he had one too many lights, Bud's light, and he would see all kinds of lights, red light, green light, blue light, psychedelic, and he goes. Naturally, you are always in panic. It's impossible to trust, and the trusting also is inviting problems. This is the society in which I grow. The children grow. And the human, that it is always the same, little more complicated these days. Every human child had this problem. Discovering the mother fallible. If the mother falls ill, she is fallible. If father falls ill, he is fallible. Father is not available, he is fallible. Father gets angry, he is fallible. The child will not say he is fallible because it has to trust, continue to trust in order to survive. Therefore, it will say in the middle that I am responsible. If they fight, they are not fallible. There is something wrong with me, that is why they fight. That's what the child thinks always. Some couples tell me, Swamiji, we fight in the bedroom and then only we come out afterwards. Do you think the child will not know this? By the look of it, it will know. Especially when you fight and come, there is no communication. When there is no communication, the child learns body language. And all the time body language, how you look, all lifetime it is the same thing. Then after marriage also, always you look for the body language. The fellow is trying to sneeze. In sneezing, naturally a lot of contortions take place if the sneezing doesn't come immediately. There is a facial this contortion. And then this fellow, this is all what he does. And before sneezing, he was trying to sneeze. And the person says, why do you frown at me? Many problems are due to this kind of thing. Because there was no communication at home. It is always reading body language. Always trying to be perfect. After the whole conversation is over, they will think over the whole conversation. While the conversation was on, everything was good. There was no problem. Then they go over the conversation. And then they find out, oh, what did he mean by that? And therefore you just go to him again. And it never ends. New conversation, there also a new problem. Then it is an endless process. And if the man or woman is not vexed with this problem, he should be definitely an Indian. Thanks go to our rishis, I tell you, not to you. To our forefathers. All because of that uncertainty at home. There is no communication. There is no honest dialogue. Don't ask me, is it all in Gita? Definitely not. But if you have yoga, this problem won't be there. That's what I am telling you. This is our current problem, but there is a common problem always for a human child. Those problems are definitely addressed. More complicated these days. I am sure in those days also there were families. Look at Duryodhana and Dushasana. It was in Mahabharata time when Vyasa was walking on the earth. All the Maharishis were all there. And not due to lack of education, but purely emotional problem, parental non-availability, because both of them were blind. One was blind, the other made herself blindly. We praise her. She committed a mistake. Gandhari committed a mistake. But it is not a mistake, all right. We learn from it something. That's all what it is all about. We learn from it. There was no mother available. And you get Duryodhana and Dushasana. The whole thinking is distorted because there is no self inside. Marzipan. And naturally, then the whole life becomes inside the child has lost its security. It cannot relax in the situation, and that's going to be universal. That is unconscious. But that is not there for the animals. Because even the conscious is programmed. And therefore the unconscious does not matter much there. The conscious itself is programmed. But here where the conscious is not programmed, the unconscious is going to interfere. The unconscious is meant for saving the person. In Sanskrit we call it as samskara or kashaya. Not that we don't have a word for it. This is what we call kashayam. Sakashayam vijaniyat. The antakarana, the mind, means the ego, has a kashaya. The other side, the flip side of the ego is called, has kashaya. In modern psychological term, what you call unconscious. Unconscious also is ego, understand. Don't think it is not, it is separate from you, the individual. Ego means the individual. The flip side of it. You can't be conscious of it because it's painful. So what you are painful, the child cannot handle. Therefore it is kept away. That's why when the child cries and when you shout, "Did I tell you don't cry?" This is like a fatwa. I have been reading this fatwa, the world of fatwa, written by Arun Shauri. It's an excellent book. And then how a woman is divorced in this religion, fatwa tradition. Then if you get angry, talak, 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 you are gone. And she cannot get angry. This is one thing. Another thing, if I get angry, you are gone. Because of you, if I get angry, you are gone. Look at this. And she's gone. Talak, talak, talak. Amazing. Amazing. You should read all this. It's all simple fatwas. He doesn't say anything. Just he goes on writing the fatwas, he goes on reprinting, that's all. Just enlightening it is. What a life it is. What a culture it is. It just amazes me. That's why so much violence, etc. That is advocated to protect it. It has got all the inbuilt program. Well, that my father tells, mother tells, "Didn't I tell you, don't get angry?" And then the child receives that. And the great blessing of the Lord, of nature you call it, we will look into the Lord later, that helps the pain that is there is just flipped, is put behind the flip side of the ego, and the child laughs. because it needs the father. It needs the mother. It can't afford to stand there and protest. You are unreasonable. It cannot say also. Therefore, it just put behind the burner and the child laughs. You think you have achieved it. The parents always think they have achieved it. Because you make the child laugh, In India at least we were all used to, when we cry and gone. And then we ourselves stop. And there was always a therapist available. The mother-in-law. This is a good chance for her. Because there is a common enemy. So what happened? The child goes to America and grandmother. Because mother scolded or had beaten or whatever. And then the child runs to the grandmother. The grandmother will say, "Why? You are such a nice child. Why you should be taught like that? She is like this. Her mother is like this. Her grandmother is like this. The whole family is like this." And like that is a therapy going on. The shifting. Therefore, the child does not blame itself. The blame is already shifted to. Therefore, there was a permanent therapist at home. At least understand the use of a mother-in-law now. And this child naturally has to have that unconscious, that as one grows, that unconscious inhibits my choices, inhibits my behavior, creates pressure in me, denies me that inner leisure. And therefore, the Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says, you have to discover me. He presents himself as the Lord, Manmana bhava, Mad bhakto bhava, Mad yaji mam namaskuru. Amazing sentences. They tell exactly, you have alienated yourself. Because that's how the human setup is. That's how the human being is made of. You have to again discover the infallible. Unless you discover the infallible, you cannot relax. Like a river always wants to go back to the ocean, from which it got separated in the form of vapors and clouds. And again, as river due to rain starts its life, runs towards the ocean. Until it reaches the ocean, it's not going to stop. No matter what kind of obstruction it is on the way. If it is a mountain, it will go around. If it is a valley, it will fill up and proceed. If it is a rock, it will jump over. If it is a dam, it doesn't give up. And it goes on pressurizing the dam. That's why they have got all these outlet sluices are there. If those outlets are not there, dam will be dammed. Because it doesn't give up. It goes on applying the pressure on the walls of the dam. Perhaps knowing full well that it was constructed by the PWD engineers and the contractors. Knowing well, in India, PWD is Public Waste Department, Works Department. So it will give way one day or the other. In fact, engineer is a very great bhakta. Every day he prays. He says, until my retirement, it should last. So that is his prayer. And therefore, what I say, the river will not give up And similarly, perhaps the individual, he is working, he is trying to discover the infallible. That is perhaps the reason why a person goes after any what we call a group of people, cult, etc., becomes a cult figure, cult and all that, any big savior. You always try to find a savior, a group where you will have an entity. You can relax and secure. Then afterwards you find every member in the group is insecure. You thought the head of the group is secure, and you discover that fellow is the worst insecure. That's why he had a group. It was exactly like the 10 fellows who went to the forest. Young fellows. And then there was a tiger scene. And the leader who is supposed to take care of them, and the leader says, hey, come on, those who are afraid of tiger, don't worry. All of you lie down on me. All are afraid. And this fellow is lying down, and then they have to lie down. This is the leader, understand? And that's why these cults don't work. Cult is started by a weakling because he needs a cult so that he will be somebody. And the cult members, if they don't discover, that is because of their some misfortune, that's all. The indoctrination is so much, and therefore they don't discover. In fact, every cult head has some real problem. Otherwise, there is no necessity for a cult. The cult itself is born of a necessity on the part of the one who started. Otherwise, you don't need cult. In our tradition, we have got only teachers. We have got only acharyas, no cult heads. Even Lord Krishna could have easily created Krishnaism. He didn't start one. Why? Because he only called himself he did not call himself anything. But we call him only as Gita Acharya, as a teacher, as a Jagat Guru, etc. But definitely not a cult head. There is no Ramaism, there is no Krishnaism, there is only Gundaism. There is no other ism. There is not even Hinduism. There is only that we have a dharma, which others called it as Hinduism. We have a dharma. Because so that they can feel safe. Otherwise, this dharma will absorb all of them. They are afraid. And therefore they give a name and so that they can fight against it. They require a caste. Because they exist because, therefore, they are all because people. Started because of somebody, because of necessity, because of some insecurity. All these fellows are because people. And so, that people need that. Why? Because of this insecurity, looking for the infallible. Understand this very well. Even money becomes God for you because you think that is infallible. Soon you discover it is fallible. That is why you called money, the land and buildings, you called it as real estate. Because other thing is only, that is a variable estate. This is a real estate. Then which you discovered, many Indians discovered real estate, how unreal estate it was. They burned their fingers. They bought all these properties, etc., investing all the hard-earned money, thinking that they would be fighting against inflation. Later they discovered they could not sell it. They can't pay the mortgage. You distress yourself. This is what happened. A lot of people lost money. Where? In real estate. It's very, very clear that things are fallible. Everything that we hold on to is fallible. Like a drowning man holding on to a straw. And therefore, if there is something that is infallible, we have to discover. I think the human heart is always yearning for it. He is working for it. That is perhaps the reason why you join, you go to a cult when Swami comes or somebody comes, you talk and you go. Why? Why? To find out that infallible. You are searching. You may not know. You are still searching. We are all searching for the infallible. We have to see whether there is one infallible. If there is one, we are all looking for this Janakas, this Janayatri, this mother, father. So they could do what they could do. They themselves are fallible as human beings. They cannot be different. They are fallible. They would have been little more caring, more consistent. That is an unfortunate situation. But otherwise, even if they were consistent, still the damage is going to be done. Mother will fall ill, father will fall ill, mother will sometimes be angry, father will be angry, and therefore, naturally, they will not be available also all the time. Enough to create all the unconscious. Not damaging as much as it is when there is no communication, there is no consistency. And therefore, the humanity is always yearning for another Janaka, another father, mother. You can have only one father, mother. There cannot be second father, second mother. If at all there is one, you should be the father of all. You should be the mother of all. There is only father, only mother. We can say that. And that is perhaps is infallible. That is what we are looking for. Gita says yes. Gita says yes, that is the infallible. In fact, that is what we say, God or Ishvara. Then there is a problem. God is infallible. This is what they say. God loves you. Yesterday I had a tract. You know, tract means somebody printed and gave me one. In my mailbox it was there. As I was coming here, I just put my hand in the mailbox. I got this one piece of paper. Then I read this. Why God loves you. He doesn't love you without condition. He says that also. His love is qualified. Even if God's love is qualified. No love is qualified. No love is qualified. Love is reckless. Love is reckless is love. That is why you get involved with all these problems. Love is reckless. It doesn't think about this, think about that. Afterwards it finds itself in a soup. The person, love is reckless. You should learn how to manage your life. Love is a reckless thing it is. You can love a rat. There is no problem in that. So you can have a rat. No, why not? Why not a rat? What is wrong with a rat? If you can love a brat, you can love a rat. What is the big deal? You can love anything, I tell you. And he says, qualified. Even God's love is qualified. If you do this, I will love you. Otherwise, I will send you to the hell forever. What kind of a fellow he is? Is this God? I better keep that fellow away from me. He has got to be infallible. Absolutely reckless. That is what is infallible can be. That alone can be infallible. Therefore, people say God is infallible. Then one fellow believes that God is infallible. He prays, I want this job. Oh God, you are infallible. You will definitely give me. The other day, Swami told me you are infallible. Please give me this. Please give me this job, new job. This is the only hope I have got. Please give me, please give me. He didn't get it. His neighbor got it. And he doesn't pray at all. Therefore he discovered, you are also fallible. Exactly like my dad. So you are also fallible. That is our problem. One politician in Bombay said, when his wife died, and his wife was a great bhakta of Ganesha, and she was every day doing puja, etc. And then she died. And she was in her 50s, and she died. And this man was completely distraught. And then he says, I don't believe in God anymore. He used to be the champion of the Hindu culture and religion and all that. And then he said, I don't believe in God anymore. Why? Because why my wife, she used to pray to him all the time, pray to the Lord, and she's gone. He is dead. That is why perhaps the prayer, because of her prayer alone, so she's gone. God wanted to give her a break, I suppose. How do you know? That's not true. How do you know? This is all because of wrong understanding. This God is the most abused word. Only God can put up with such an abuse. Nobody else. It takes a God to put up with the abuse that we have about him, we do about him. Horrible it is. Therefore the Gita, what choice I have? When I have to relax I require the infallible because I am still fallible. With 2 hands and 2 legs, with limited knowledge, limited resources, everything is limited. I am still fallible. What I am not is infinitely large. I am overwhelmed by all the forces. And naturally, if the child was helpless, the adult is not any less. And the helplessness continues. Child had, at least in its innocence, the infallible parents. I have lost my innocence. You understand now the adult's problem. I have lost my innocence. I have become crafty, manipulative. And I find that I cannot manipulate the world, the people, the situation, the planets, because I am an astrologer, planets also. You want to manipulate everybody, the stars, the forces, the devas. I want to manipulate all of them. I can't manipulate. Feel defeated all the time. And the Lord Krishna in the Gita has an answer for me. It helps me. He helps me discover not the very infallible as God. He helps me discover the infallible as God and make me relax. We will see that tomorrow, okay? Thank you. Om Tat Sat.